Okay. So I see it's recording. Okay. So please do not have an attachment or have an expectation that after this reflection you will be totally free of being attached to this life. Um, I think not even the Buddha could do that. That just after one reflection, then that's it. The attachment to this life is gone, because attachment to this life and attachment is kind of is, you see, the problem is it feels so natural, because one thing, everybody's doing it, just working for the happiness of this life, and so we don't feel the attachment, and we don't see that attachment is, when we have attachment we also have aversion, and then it turns into anger and frustration and stress. So very often I think we don't, because anger is very strong and anger is very disturbing, so we spend a lot of time always talking about anger and antidotes to anger, which is good because of course anger harms others, but sometimes we neglect the attachment a little bit, because attachment can also feel good. Yeah, like it makes us interested, we are alive, kind of, we get involved in things. But when you look, because we all, most of you know, like most of you are Dharma practitioners, so you know whatever action we do, when it's underlined with like there's an intention. So if the intention is any of the delusions or the destructive emotions, as His Holiness calls them, it doesn't create positive karma. So when you look in a day, we can have days and days and days where there's no anger. But do we have 1 hour where there's no attachment? Do we maybe even have a minute where there's no attachment? Do we maybe even have a second when there's no attachment? We think we have to be conscious of it, but we don't have to be conscious of it. Attachment is, they say, it creeps in very slowly. And they say it's like oil that seeps into paper. Yeah. Anger is like dust, dust on the piece of paper. You just blow it away because you can see it so well. Whereas attachment, it's very, very difficult to find out, what is this now? Is it attachment? Is it not? Is it for the benefit of this life? Is it for next life? Is it for, where's my bodhicitta? All these kinds of things. So the wish to be happy just in this life, it is okay, it's justified, and you have to have it, the wish to be happy. But you also need to expand it. Yeah, not just for this life. And then you will see, then some actions will become meaningless, and then you are then able to give them up easier than if you still think that they are very important. Okay, so we just try anyway. If giving up attachment to this life would be easy, then we would not be sitting here. We would all be enjoying, here in Switzerland, the beautiful autumn day. We wouldn't have to talk about this. It's really, really strong, this attachment to these 8 worldly concerns. And I think we very often, we don't pay them enough attention. Yeah, because it feels good. Okay, so you try to sit with a straight back as much as possible. But at ease and relaxed, really important. Because the more the body is comfortable and relaxed, but awake with the straight back, the more also your mind will start to open up and become spacious. You take a few deep breaths, happy that we are alive, happy that we are here, happy that we can participate in this, happy that we can hear methods that we actually have a choice whether to apply them or not. Don't think you're being forced into something. So again, this feeling of gratitude, this feeling of appreciation, gratitude for yourself that you take the time to do this. Hopefully a little bit joyfully, but also gratitude for having these methods who are coming from the Buddha. And gratitude for all the beings around you who have the same values, the same views, who go in the same direction. Okay, so then we will look at all the views and attitudes that we have about ourselves, the beliefs. And the most important one, do I really deep down in my heart trust my potential to be totally free of all unhelpful emotions like desire, attachment, anger, aversion, hatred, jealousy, fear, depression, miserliness, self centeredness, self hatred, all this. Do I trust that these are not part of my mind? This is so important. And we can go into starting to see, when do we feel good? When do we feel normal and natural? So reflect. I can't tell you that. You have to say, when do you feel yourself? Spacious, kind, connected, maybe? Recall such a moment when there's space in the heart, peace, but fully there, fully awakened. And connect with this. And sometimes what helps, to relax and to open up and to feel, to live, to experience the goodness that we have. Because you need to experience it, not in the head. That you just tell yourself, I'm a good person. Have the courage to think that. Or if you don't trust yourself, then, imagine a person that you fully trust that is telling you, hey, come on, you are a good person. And if I look at you on the screen from my side, I tell you, all of you, you are good people. And this is our nature. And then you have to ask yourself, for you now, we talked about what a meaningful life is, but you have to ask yourself, in your opinion, not for others, but for you, what is a meaningful life? So that we can die without regret. So we have to take death into consideration. At one point, we all have to die. How many of the activities that we are doing now will seem totally meaningless in the face of death? Please don't judge yourself, okay? Don't be too hard on yourself. We just need to see these things. We cannot force ourselves to do anything. We have to allow the mind to understand these things, then it can let go of grasping. So important. Don't go into, yeah, I know, yeah, I'm very selfish. No point. It just feeds into this self-centered mind. The mind loves to do that. We can change any moment, every second, we can make choices and change. So don't dwell in the past, just look. And then when we think, so what is a meaningful life for me? Be realistic. When you have 5 children and you say, I want to become a nun or a monk, this is totally unrealistic. If the children are still small, you can't just leave them behind. So we ask ourselves, do I have the conditions to be able to live a meaningful life? Like we talked about the 8 worldly concerns, having, being very rich, having comfort, gain, good reputation, fame, winning awards, these kind of things. In general, this is called a meaningful life. And we think that these people die with a very peaceful mind. Not necessarily. Because in order to be very rich, very famous, you need to have the conditions, inner and outer. You need to be very intelligent. Maybe you need to have inherited a lot of money from your parents already. Or you need to be very skillful in earning money. So maybe we don't have these conditions. So again, in a realistic way, developing love, compassion, and wisdom. Not just wishing to develop them, but actually applying these methods that are available to us. Would that mean for you having led a meaningful life? I have tried, I have practiced, I have trained. So maybe, with your mind, go into the past and look at your aspirations that you had when you were young. And very often, we are able to get what we want, but then really check. Does your fear and worry stop there? When we're very famous, very powerful, maybe very rich, now there is the worry and the fear of not being able to maintain it. And the fear of losing it. So first, before we have it, there's the fear of worry of not getting it. Then is the stress and the worry of having to maintain it. And then there's the sadness or suffering when we lose it, because we will lose it at the time of death. All of these things They will not help us to see the nature of reality. I'm not saying they are bad, but they're not getting rid of our wrong view that things exist inherently from their own side. If these things of comfort, gain, fame, praise, if they're not the top things anymore in our life, we become naturally freer and happier. But somehow it feels like instinctively, it feels so right and normal to behave and react like this. I have what I want, I'm happy. And we don't see the fear and the worry. But then I lose it, I get sad and aggressive. It seems so normal. It seems normal and we don't do anything about it because one thing, everybody else is behaving like this. And secondly, we haven't given up the wrong view that I'm not happy because I don't have this and this and this. We haven't, maybe we have understood in the head that happiness is in the mind and not outside, but we definitely don't behave like this. Try to detect and to feel that subtle fear of not getting enough of money, of praise, of people liking me, of friends, of comfort. Try to see the jealousy when other people have more, or especially the anger, when somebody is unjustifiedly getting something that I think they should not have. Try to see the suffering in your mind, feeling the fryer. Somebody fought harder than you and got the discount, and you had to pay the full price. Oh, so much suffering. Even if you can pay the price, even if the other person is poorer than you are. This fryer syndrome, so painful, comes because we're putting happiness on the wrong things. The fear of missing out is always there. And you know that discount at the time of your death, will it be important? That somebody took your parking space at the time of death, will it be important? So many of our fears actually come because we are totally attached to things that we think make us happy, but then when we have them, we don't stop long enough to see that it's not true. They're not making us happy. They're creating fear and worry. So what happens if you tell yourself, okay, so now don't worry about these things anymore. Financial security, um, friends, comfort, fame, power. Do we trust that we can let go of the worry? You see, these things are present in our lives. They come and go according to what kind of karma is ripening. The Buddha is telling us, let go of the fear of not having them or having them. Let go of the worry. The world is telling us something totally different. Our ego is telling us something different. So who do we trust more? Our ego or the Buddha's view? Just look at your chattering mind at the moment, who maybe says, but, this is important. And as I say, it doesn't mean you should throw everything away. I'm not saying that. The Buddha just says, don't worry about these things. So we check. Where do we invest more? In financial security, in relationships, or in inner peace and applying antidotes to our unhelpful emotions? What seems to be more important? Attachment also is creating a lot of expectations, how things should be, how the world should be, how my friends should be, how my body should be, how my car should be, my house should be, and so on. So first look at these expectations. And then remember your disappointments and frustrations. Now, whose fault is it? Is it the fault of your friends, your car, your house? Or is it the fault of your expectations and attachment? In the text, it says, being attached to this life can cause or will cause rebirth in a lower state. Why? Because quite often we engage in unethical behavior for the happiness of this life. And it creates negative karma. And we even feel justified to do these negative actions. That's another thing. Attachment makes us totally blind. So being very happy when we get these four kind of worldly things and feeling very unhappy when we don't get them. Like taking them for very important in our life, it just creates more negative action, negative emotions like jealousy and depression. So then neither they don't become the cause for happiness or unhappiness, but they actually cause more delusions, which will create more suffering. And all of this feeds into the ego. And it prevents us to be happily in the present with whatever is. So again, what can we do about this? First is to see it that our goals in general are very short term. It's only for this life. On top of it, if I get these things that we think create happiness in worldly terms, it doesn't create happiness, it just creates more negative emotions. The fear, the worry, the aversion, the jealousy, the pride, and so on. So if we have them to be happy about them, that's fine. But we can then think, oh, wonderful, I have a good reputation. So people will trust me. So I can maybe guide them. If I have a lot of money, I can help others with my money. Not because I want to be liked or famous, but I practice generosity with bodhicitta. One day, may I give you dharma. If I have a life that is easy and comfortable, I have the space to practice the dharma. So it doesn't mean your life has to be uncomfortable and you have to receive a lot of criticism all the time in order to be a good Dharma practitioner. It doesn't mean that at all. What it means is to see our attachments, is to see that when these things come, like what we call the good things, that we see they are impermanent. They will not last. So then we can enjoy them without attachment because we are being present. And when these so-called good things come, we can also generate gratitude. If I want praise, I need somebody else to praise me. If I want gain, unfortunately, most probably somebody else will lose. So instead of being happy about the gain, we can generate compassion for the one who is losing out. If I have a very comfortable life, please don't forget how many beings have to do their job properly so I can enjoy what I'm enjoying to have a comfortable life. Day after day after day after day. Life after life after life after life. And we generate gratitude and say thank you. If you have moments of disappointment because you're not getting what you want, or maybe your body is not the way you want the body to be, then you go, what? Again, impermanence at the time of death. Will that be important? So it loses the grip on you. So to conclude the reflection, so again, look inside. Where are my fears and worries? Really look. What I worry about right now. And then ask, at the time of death, will that be important? It's not so pleasant, isn't it, to think about these things. So please don't forget your humor, okay? We're all a bit like this. We're all attached to these eight worldly concerns, and because it doesn't hurt, attachment doesn't really hurt. It wakes us up. It actually feels good. You know, the anticipation, oh, how it will be when I get there. And so many disappointments just come from that. So, but as I said, we can change anything, any moment. So do you have questions or comments? No, total silence. No chats, no questions, no nothing. How to say in Hebrew, klum or something like that. Yeah, right. Klum, klum, klum at the moment. So shall we just make a break? Are you all okay? And you understood everything?
I have a question, Anila.
Oh, Tommy has a question. Okay, go ahead.
I was thinking what's bothering me right now.
Yeah.
When you said to concentrate on that. And I realized that, yeah, of course, I'm worried about my income in these days of Corona and my body deteriorating. But at the time of the death, of my death, yes, all this won't matter. But I was thinking about my daughter. She's 15 years old now.
Yeah.
And what's going to become of the world?
Yeah.
And where she's gonna have to live and how she'll cope with what's going on around.
Yeah.
And it seemed meaningful at the time of my death, to think about that and to worry about that and the destiny of all humanity. But that seemed very hard to let go of.
Yeah. So you see, this is the advantage that people with children have. They can at least, and they have the excuse of saying, oh, but I worry about how my children will continue in this life. I don't have children. I don't have this excuse. Yeah, so it's kind of the ego wanting to worry. We are attached to worry also somehow, because what does it help if you worry about your children?
It doesn't help.
Yeah, this is the thing. So this is what we have to see. It just makes us anxious and compressed, and then we get stuck in that worry instead of maybe also trusting in karma and trusting in human human intelligence. At the moment it's a bit difficult to trust in human intelligence, but somehow, I mean, humans have survived so many difficult things. And then also, if you look at Buddhism, if you trust the Buddha, it doesn't mean we have to destroy this planet. Whatever you can do to save this planet, by all means, please do it. But, it says in the teachings, this planet at one point will be destroyed by sickness, by wars, and by heat. This is, the Buddha said, like 2,500 years ago. Because why? Because it came together. It's also dependent arising. It is also impermanent. But the mind cannot be destroyed. As we had in the Bodhicharyavatara, nobody can destroy the mind. So that's what we should worry about. How will we cope emotionally with these difficult situations? This is where our concern should then go. Are we creating more negative karma with our attachments and aggressions? Or are we able to deal with the situation in a skillful way, with not just concern for me and my daughters, but for the whole humanity? It's okay. Our mind wants to worry. It's okay. Let it worry, but let it worry about the right things. How do I create a good human rebirth so that I continue with the practice, for example? As I'm saying, no matter how rich you were in this life, no matter in what wonderful country you lived, it doesn't help your next rebirth. If you did create, the causes for a good rebirth because the conditions were very good, yeah, perfect. But if you just enjoy and you think, wow, so wonderful, look at me, I'm so happy. It doesn't help your next rebirth. You just are very sorry when you die because you're going to lose it all. You see, the more attachment, the more disappointment when you lose it. Yeah, if you live in a country like Africa or whatever, there's not so much worry about financial situations because they never had a good financial situation. Because this is it. We think we're going to live forever. I give you the example. I had a friend of mine, and she died in Manali. Maybe Leora Price has heard of her. This nun that was living with Lama Paljor for a while. Okay, she was a very attached person. Attachment also demands, we demand a lot of things with attachment from our friends. You have to be like this and like this and like this, and you have to give me that and this and this and this. So she always wanted things. But then she was diagnosed with cancer, and it was clear that she was in Manali hospital. There's no way that anybody could help her to recover. So she knew, they said, you have at the most, you will still have like 6 months to live. That was many years ago, more than 20 years ago. So maybe now is also different. I don't know. So she knew it. It was certain, So she said, usually when I was in Manali, because she was in Kelong, so usually when she was in Manali, she always went to the statue of Padmasambhava in one of the monasteries, and she's prayed, I need a long-term visa, I need more money to do this long-term retreat. Please, send me people to help and that. When she knew I have 6 more months to live, she was sitting there in front of that statue, and she had nothing to ask for. Because she knew she had enough money for the 6 months. She knew she had the visa would last long enough and all this. And she said, you know what? I never felt so peaceful. Yeah, like we are always going, and we go far too far with our worries. Yeah. We should go really far if we want to go far and say, okay, what creates a good rebirth? So what does create it? What are the causes for a good rebirth? Can anybody help me with that? What are the causes for a good rebirth? We can create them now. Tammy, the causes for a good rebirth?
Ethical conduct.
Ethical conduct is one of them. That's a human rebirth. What about a precious human rebirth?
Love and compassion, maybe.
Huh?
Love and compassion.
Love and compassion is always a very good answer because it's always right somehow. But no, there's more specific.
Patience.
We don't even need love and compassion for a precious human rebirth. Imagine that. It's not as difficult as that. It's easier than love and compassion because love and compassion means for everybody, not attached love. Attached love is very easy. That doesn't give us a good rebirth, attached love. Yeah.
We need also generosity.
Shachar was saying patience, I heard, yeah?
No, I said generosity, also special prayers to become or to have this rebirth.
Exactly. So this is it. Ethical conduct, generosity, and patience, and making the right aspirations. This we can do. This we can do to spend time with this. And generosity, again, not giving everything away and then you are left poor, but you know how to practice generosity. You practice joy. You are happy that you're giving something and not with wanting something back, that you're very happy that you can give something, whatever it is, to whomever it is. And it doesn't have to be money all the time. It can be your time. It can be now, Adriana, it can be your love and compassion, your appreciation for the other person to be there. Yeah. And you see, when we look at our relationship that we have with other people, we are quite cruel because we want them to be attached to us. Because then we think, oh, if they are attached to me, so we behave in a certain way, that it's easy to get attached to us. We have some kind of very hidden agenda there. But then when they are attached to us and we have to leave, then they suffer. So this attached love is really, really cruel, and it's very demanding, and it's creating a lot of problems. And this is why relationships don't last, because we have too many demands on the other person. Yeah, and then you can fulfill these demands 1, 2, 3 times, but then you get fed up. But then again, you think, I have to have an attached love relationship. Yeah, if it works, fantastic. If it doesn't, you can be just as happy alone. But then the mind has already made up, no. I need to be in a relationship because I can't be alone. I saw Michal's hand there. Yeah. Did you want to ask something? You need to open your microphone, please. Yeah.
Yes, please. Following Tammy, I would like to ask regarding my daughter, if I give up my attachment to her, where is my responsibility? In other words, I feel I'm making a mistake by making a linkage between attachment and responsibility. Can you tell me a few words about it?
Yeah. Well, we talk about love, meaning love means I want you to be happy and I'm happy when you're happy. Attachment is kind of, there's too much involvement in this also. And attachment is, I love you because you're my daughter, which is fine. These parents have to do. And, until we're a Buddha, I think we will have this attachment it's a biological thing also. Yeah. And it's okay to be attached to your children because otherwise they feel very insecure. If other children are just as important as your child is, then they go like, hey, what is going on? So the children need to have a secure attachment somewhere that they know, this is my mom, this is my dad, or it doesn't matter if it's two women or two men, this I don't care about, but that there are people there that are there for, in order for them to grow up with trust. This is very important, I think. But the attachment is like, there's too much suffering when things go wrong. Yeah. And there's too much involvement sometimes, and the demand, I invest so much time in you. And so now, please, you have to give something back also. This is why when parents get really hurt, when the children don't give them the time that they would like from them. Yeah. Because love is just giving. Love is just happy when you can give. And then when you see that she's not well, then it turns into compassion. And compassion is a mind state that gives us the energy wanting to help, but also understanding our borders or our limitations, and still wanting the person to be happy, but not taking too much responsibility, to seeing in a realistic way, okay, in what way can I help? Yeah. And then the love, if they want to go, to let them go, so this is very, with attachment when they are happier somewhere else in our company, maybe with children, yeah. But the love for children of mothers and fathers and grandfathers, grandmothers, this is probably the purest that we can have, unless it gets, excessive like this. Does that help you in any way?
I think so. But thinking about my death,
Yeah, of course.
raising the worry, what will happen to her?
Yeah, of course.
Maybe I didn't leave her with a big enough container
Yeah.
to live without me. That's why I said that my question is following Tammy's.
Yeah, I know. But, sometimes I have another friend. Her mother died very, very young. She became a wonderful person, even though her mother died young. We have this a little bit arrogant feeling, without me, they can't survive happily. Maybe they're happy that they're rid of you. Who knows? It's another ego thing that we worry and we think, oh, what will they do without me? Of course, it's difficult. Of course, it's difficult if parents die young. So when maybe Leora could talk more about this, how to accompany a young father or mother into their death. So what I usually tell them is to generate the thought, may my death not create too much suffering for my loved ones, because then it's really concern for them and not kind of what will they do without me. Yeah. So I don't know, Leora, because it's very difficult for young parents having to go and leaving children behind. It's probably one of the most difficult things, but the worry doesn't prevent them from dying. Leora, yeah?
The only thing, or maybe not, but this is what I think about now, that what can help us as parents, if we die now or if we die a bit later, is what we think about death at all.
Yeah.
We have some belief, some idea about what is death for us as Buddhists.
Mm-hmm.
And we feel prepared for that. So we know that it's a very important time. And
Yeah.
prepare the time for saying goodbye to our children, thinking I did my best, and think now, do I do my best?
Mm-hmm.
So that in the time of death, I don't want regret. So
Yeah.
I'm dying, and I hope I don't have any regret. I can start to this journey,
Mm-hmm.
and hope that my next rebirth will be okay, or I get liberated or enlightened, I don't know.
Yeah.
But we are trained towards our death. So, and this question of worry, it's like Shantideva says, it's always right. When I'm worried, and I remember this when my children, my daughters were young, when they come back home early enough and I was worried, does it help that you are worried? Then I change it into a prayer.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Because this is what I can do.
Yeah, may they be well, may they be happy. Yeah, and at one point,
just asking the powers that exist in the universe, to my belief, that can take care of them.
Yeah, right.
Take care of them so I can go to sleep.
Yeah. And to,
If
and
I'm worried, it doesn't help.
exactly. Yeah. And as you say, the time of death is very important. As a Buddhist, you think about death and dying almost every day, that this can be my last day. And then slowly, your mind becomes very meaningful, and also, you know, one thing about not being able to die peacefully is also when you think, oh, I messed it all up. So this is another danger here, that when Leora says, oh, I did my best, many people think, oh, I made so many mistakes and I'm horrible and this and that. Then you have to let the mind let the mind go into the other direction, and you can say, okay, I made a lot of mistakes and I messed it up, but I could have behaved in a much worse way. You see, so this is also something that when you feel guilt at the time of death, which is totally not helpful, guilt and worry are no good at the time of death. So this is why we practice in daily life, to notice when we worry and to use an antidote and to open up. You know, just as Leora says, Shantideva's in the 6th chapter, verse number 10, what does it help to worry if you can change something? Then go ahead and change it. What does it help to worry if you cannot change it? Then it just makes it worse. Yeah. So this intellectual understanding needs to go down to the heart. Yeah, and then we're much more open. And if we let go of being so interested in these 8 worldly concerns, I tell you, your life will become so much happier. It seems strange, you know, not being worried about financial and this and this and this. It really seems strange that because we think, oh, then I will get poor. You will not get poor. Maybe you will. But if you will get poor, you will also have gotten poor by worrying about it. Now, again, you're not becoming careless. I'm not saying that. Yeah. But, you know, wealth comes, wonderful. I can share with others. There's no wealth. Well, let me see how I can survive. And I think all of us, you know, even in Israel, we live in a country, they will not let you starve to death. You know, sometimes, especially about Israel, when I worry about things, then I think, people survived the Holocaust. What are you worrying about? You know, to trust that strength in human nature also. So to put it into context, you know, our worries. Like there's this very nice, I think I showed it in the 4 immeasurables. There's this very nice video of this small boy, Indian boy, who says, you know, practice rejoicing, stop worrying, because worrying becomes a habit. And then you even worry about the bull in your stable that you don't have yet, you know. We worry about the car that we haven't bought yet. So it's like, it becomes a habit. So we can practice rejoicing, and rejoicing in meaningful things, not just things for myself. How wonderful that we have this path. How wonderful now that we have to Zoom. You know, what would we do without Zoom? We would be stuck with our Buddhist books and maybe okay with the YouTube recordings, but it's not the same. Here we can communicate, and it's so important to be grateful to all those people who made the Zoom instead of saying, I don't like to sit in front of the computer all the time. You know, things like this. So with the practice, what is Dharma practice? Whatever lessens or weakens your negative emotions. And for the attachment, you see, okay, we all want to be very quickly, when we hear these things, we want to get rid of attachment. We will have attachment until we have realized emptiness. So at least we can stop collaborating with it. Kind of, you know, these negative emotions will arise as long as we still have the wrong view of I, me, yourself really existing, but we can be mindful and we can say, no, now I am not going to do an action. And then the negative emotion kind of, you know, changes also. But we collaborate with them, you know, then we have the emotion, and then body and speech are kicked into action, and then that's it. Then it's unethical behavior. So while you are still alive, then that is the time to be here for your daughter. When you have died, she will have to look after herself. But for the moment, you know, also in Dharamsala, then we stop because so you can make break. once in Dharamsala, I went with somebody to see a lama who somebody had died. And this person went to see the lama to ask, what can I do for the dead person? And it was Kamtrul Rinpoche, so Gila will know him. So he said in a very matter-of-fact voice, not laughing, not being cynical, not being sad, being totally neutral and very rational, he said, well, now it's too late to think about what to do to this person. You should have thought about this when he was still alive. Yeah, so it might be very cruel to hear these things, but then I thought, well, how wonderful, She now has people around her who are still alive, so now she can hear what he's saying and thinking, okay, so now I will take care of the ones who are still alive. Yeah. Okay. Okay, good. So we can just briefly dedicate all the positive energy that we have generated this morning for our own happiness and benefit. So we are able to let go of being attached to the happiness of this life. It's the attachment who is the word here, Having a good life, that's fine, but then make it meaningful, okay? Not just for myself. Or we could maybe call it, maybe be through the positive energy we have created this morning, maybe be able to let go of just being interested in the happiness of my happiness or my group or my children or my this, May it expand, may that wish for happiness expand upon all beings. So may it bring us to that. And then when we don't get what we want in this life, may we be able to deal with it without aggression, without depression, without jealousy, without getting angry, without fear and without worry. And may we be able to live our life with joy and with ease. Because in every situation you can find something joyful, but the mind is attached to finding the negative things so it can worry, because it really feeds the ego. Then we are really somebody when we have something to worry about. Yeah? And the ego is afraid to disappear when the worry goes. So it kind of grasps everything to worry about. And it totally forgets about all the good things that we have. So maybe remember the good things. May we enjoy them. And may we be able then to be of benefit to all sentient beings already now. That whoever sees me, hears me, thinks about me, talks about me, touches me, even smells me, to be it perfume or body odor, doesn't matter. May it only be of benefit to them. Okay. Ronnie was raising her hand. I wanted to stop. Were you just waving or were you wanting to say something? If you want to say something, you need to open your microphone. If the time is up. If you need and want to go, this is fine. But yes, it's still closed, the microphone. It's now is.
I was waving to know me.
Oh, I see. Okay. So Ronnie was waving to Nomi with a lot of compassion and concern. How is Nomi? Is she better? She recovered?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. So have a very good break. Enjoy your lunch. Again, think about all the people that have been working very hard. So your lunch is in your plate. And then think, how wonderful. All these people working just for me. May I be able to kind of give back that kindness. May I be able also at one point, thanks to their work, I can keep my body alive, I can practice. Maybe one day when I am a Buddha, may I be able to be of benefit to them. And in the meantime, at least, may I not harm them. And when they see me, may create some happiness. Okay? So then enjoy your lunch and I'll see you again. I think your side is 2 o'clock and my side is 1 o'clock. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alba.
Bye.
Bye-bye. See you.
Bye. Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you. See you all at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
ביי, תמי, תודה.
אז
ביי, תודה.
תמי יוצאים מהזום ונכנסים עוד פעם?
כן.
אוקיי, תודה.
הזום יהיה כבר פתוח, אבל השיעור יתחיל ב-2.
תודה רבה רבה.
אוקיי.